Sean speaking, and I want to welcome you to our fourth podcast on the Realty Remarks.
Fourth one, holy smokes.
Yes, so thank you to everyone who has bared with us through this process. This is new for us. We are realtors, but we are not podcast extraordinaires. So this
I am. I don't know about you guys, but I am.
So this has been a journey, and we really appreciate those who have stuck with us to this point in time. Now, you are here with the Dwyer team from Keller Williams Lifestyles Realty. I'm going to have everybody just introduce themselves once more so you know voice to the names. And then we are going to be talking about home maintenance and improvements, which is such an essential topic whether you're selling now, whether you're thinking of for the future, or if you're buying your first home and looking to put in some equity in it. What is the difference between maintaining your home and actually adding improvements and where you want to put those improvements? So let Jerry take it away.
Hannah likes to lead.
Yeah, I like to babble.
So Francis, you want to introduce yourself again? We should probably do this. We did it at the beginning, but we want everybody to know who we are. So
just for the first season. Yeah.
How long? Your name and how long you've been in real estate?
My name is Frances Fletcher, living in London, and with Dwyer team. Forget it. Okay, hi, I'm Frances Fletcher, and I've been a realtor for 6 years.
And Jerry Dwyer, and I have been a realtor for 18 years.
I'm Barbara Dwyer. I don't even know how long I've been a realtor.
A long time. Long time.
Barbara Dwyer is the owner of the team. We are a very close-knit team with various years of experience. I have been in the business for about 5 years now, and have always had a passion for both real estate and business, especially. So I love what I do. And we are going to talk to you about interesting topics that will affect you and your everyday life, or the people that you love that might be a benefit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we brought this topic to the podcast because we get asked this quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So we want everybody to know the difference between an improvement and a updating a maintenance item. So how do you guys want to start? Do you want to talk about maintenance first? Let's talk about what a maintenance item is versus an improvement item, so people know.
What is home maintenance opposed to home improvements?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to try and clarify the difference between the two. So a maintenance item is something that you currently have in your home that is requiring repair or replacement. So a furnace, an AC, windows, doors, roof, those types of things are considered a maintenance item. Your home had it when you bought it, and it needs to have it when you sell it. So these are things that require upgrades. They're not necessarily a lavish way to spend your money, but it's a necessity for the most part when you're doing a maintenance item. An improvement would be somebody renovating a kitchen, a bathroom, a basement. And that could be you don't have a finished basement, you want to put one in. That falls in that same category. So we just wanted to talk a little bit more about this and say and give you guys our opinion, and over the years how we've seen that change value and or affect value would be another way to do it. So who has a story on this?
Well, let's talk. I'd like to think of it from a first-time home buyer perspective.
I think that's great.
Yeah, let's anticipate, this is your first home. I think everybody has an understanding. You need to maintenance your home. You need to upkeep it. There are things that to keep your family safe, to keep your annual maintenance that a lot of people don't even realize.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people are scared of when it comes to buying their first home. So it's a great thing to talk about and have comfortability with it. So when it comes to maintaining, let's say, what are some things that a first-time home buyer may not expect that they need to take on, let's say in the first 2 years of home ownership? Now, keep in mind, it is very dependent on the age of the building, home, inspection.
Good point. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you're buying a 5-year-old home, you're probably not going to have to deal with furnace issues or AC issues for the most part, or roof issues right away. But those are things that now when you replace a furnace and an AC, they're giving you like a 10-year lifespan on those items. So when you're buying a home, if that's 6, 7, 8 years old, it might be something that you want to have a home inspector look at, first of all, to make sure that they're running in tip-top shape. Having said that, that doesn't always mean it couldn't break in the first few days of first few weeks, first few months of ownership, but it's trying to alleviate any big ticket items that may be coming down the pipe for you later as you own real estate longer and longer.
And that'll bring us into another topic that we'll be talking about later too, which is rentals and other options that you have.
Oh, good one, yeah.
We'll talk about it a little bit later. I don't want to get too off track. But when it comes to maintaining your home, and it's hard to say with, the way that it is constantly changing the economy, but what would you have a first-time home buyer budget for maintenance?
Well, you're right. I think a lot of that's going to depend on the age of the home.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I remember a home inspector told me many years ago, if you were selling, if his clients were buying a home between 17 and 20 years old, that at some point within the next 5 years, they were probably looking at doing windows, roofs, furnaces, AC units. And so he suggested that maybe it would be better for clients, particularly first-time buyers, that they buy something a little bit older that had all those things done already.
Yeah.
Because of those things, when you replace a furnace, AC, windows, doors, it's really nice and it makes your house look nicer. But unfortunately, it doesn't add value to the home. I mean, it's nice for the purchaser, but it doesn't make the price any higher when you sell your home.
Because it's an expectation that everybody has their eyes on, everybody is looking for, and are taking into account when they're looking at a home with an older furnace, roof, all of that, they're taking into account the expenses that come along with that.
And it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if the home you're purchasing doesn't have a new furnace and AC and needs those things, the agent will say, well, if it had those things, it'd be more expensive if it was a new furnace and AC. But the thing is, when you have the new furnace and AC, really as a seller, you can't expect to ask a higher price for that home. You replaced the roof, not because you didn't like the color of the shingles.
Because
they needed replacing. The same with the windows. They're replaced because they needed replacement, not because you got sick of the style of the window.
And things can happen. You can move into a home that has newer stuff, newer appliances, and newer furnace and AC, but then they can go kaput one day. So it's also like the realization that no matter what, you have to prepare for the worst to happen. And something like that, a furnace, that's a typical expectation in the home that you're going to be in. It's a typical expectation you're going to have to be maintaining it no matter what. And I think that comes down to why it doesn't add value in the grand scheme of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, when you own a property long enough, you will have maintenance issues, whether those things are done or not.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in a home for 20 years, you'll have to do some things to the property that aren't a lavish renovation. When you replace a furnace, nobody takes their company over and says, look at the new furnace I put in. It's required, you need it, but it's not a renovation that people are happy to do. When you're changing, if you're doing a kitchen renovation or a bathroom renovation, those are renovations that people see and people notice, but nobody really notices a furnace unless it's not done. Then that's when that's when it comes up in conversation. If those things aren't done, then it will affect your value because they need to be done. But if they're done, they don't gain value if they are done.
So it's truly maintenance.
Yeah.
So Francis had a good point. You asked a question about garden rooms or
if you decide you really wanted a closed-in, screened-in porch, that you can sit out and enjoy, is that so you screen in your deck, and is that going to be maintenance, or is that going to be an improvement? Because I found one time that not everybody wanted even the deck, let alone the screened-in porch. Yep. So that money, did it go out the window or did it add value?
So, I mean, that's tricky, because if somebody wants a screened-in porch, they're going to appreciate that renovation that was done. And I think one of the most important things that was ever said to me, I said, well, why is it when you redo a kitchen, because the house had a kitchen, why is it when you redo a kitchen, it adds value to a house? Whereas if you put a fireplace in or you put in a screened-in porch, why is that maybe an improvement and maybe not? And a former broker said to me, because you're never going to sell a house to somebody that says, I don't want a kitchen. I don't want bedrooms.
Yeah.
But they might not always want a screened-in porch or a fireplace. For somebody who wants a fireplace and they buy a home with a fireplace, that's great. They love it. And if they buy a house without a fireplace, they may put a fireplace in. But nobody is going to buy a house without a kitchen, or buy a house with a kitchen and then rip it out and have
Get
no
rid of it,
kitchen.
yeah.
So that's why we do kitchens and bathrooms. Usually, if you put your money in those rooms, you're going to get your money back.
Yeah, especially if you sell within the first few years, because you can still call
Correct.
it newly renovated. Kitchens, we find kitchens are the best place to spend your money, followed by bathrooms. And then basement renovations are another one. Those all add value, especially if you finish a basement when it wasn't finished before. That will definitely add value to the.
Because you have more living space.
Sure.
And even people who aren't looking for a finished basement per se, if they find the perfect house and it happens to have a finished basement, they may not use it, but they'll probably buy it as long as they can afford the house.
It still adds value because it's finished space.
And what we always say too is there's a market for everything,
Correct?
right? You know, the right buyer will be there for your home as long as we market it correctly. And the way that I think about it though is, sorry, I had a bit of a lost train of thought there. What was the last thing you just said?
None of us remember that.
I had a point. Going into the improvements, where do you want to spend your money if you are thinking about selling in a couple of years? And with the big stuff, it's also little stuff too. We always say that if you want to be somewhere, like, have what you're going to enjoy. If you're going to be there for 5 years, do the work that you're going to enjoy. But it's not a bad idea to keep in the back of your mind when you're painting neutral colors, when you're, you know what I mean? Like you're thinking about not just what you like, but what other people will like when it comes to
That's a good point, Hannah. I mean, buyers ask that all the time, and it's, if you want to paint your master bedroom red, that's fantastic. But keep in mind, you're doing those things because you want to do them. When you're selling, when you plan on selling your home, you're trying to appease as many people as you can to make it as neutral as possible. But don't let that affect what you want to do today to enjoy it.
Yes.
So if you want to put in green, mauve green or something, or a purple countertop or purple paint, by all means do those things. But you're doing them because you want to do them.
Yeah.
And then later on, it may be something you have to adjust to make them a very neutral, so they can cover a lot of bases that way. So then you're trying to appease buyers and not necessarily appease yourself. You're making it as model home as you can.
I've got a question. Okay, so I've been approached by somebody that they have a 2-bedroom and a den, not a big den, but they wanted to take away part of the second bedroom.
Yeah.
Do a lot of different changes there to make a luxurious master bedroom. And also open their ensuite, so it's more like a spa thing, going out to the garden. Now, when you cut down a second bedroom in half to do that, would that be an improvement, or would that help sell the house? Was the question even better because it's so luxurious?
So how many bedrooms will be in this house?
2 bedroom plus den.
It is 2 bedrooms and a den right now, but they're going to take half of the second bedroom. More and just sort of, because the den was quite small and it was on the other side.
Do you have a representation of how big that bedroom would be? Is it larger
As
than
long
average?
as the second bedroom, I'm thinking as long as the second bedroom could still be a bedroom. It doesn't necessarily have to be large.
It might become a single bedroom.
Yes.
Because they're taking almost half.
I mean, I know that for new
because they're
construction.
expanding their ensuite too.
I know for new construction, and to call it a bedroom, people say, does it have to have a closet? No, it doesn't have to have a closet to be a bedroom. It has to have a window to be a bedroom. But we have to also be be careful
Is that
discussing
related
size.
to current building code though?
Yeah, like you can. You're right. It's not common to see a room without a closet if
That's
it's
a
called
big
a bedroom.
misconception.
Yeah.
A lot of people think if there's not a closet, it's not a bedroom.
Yeah, but so
By wardrobe, but it has to have a door.
It has to
It has to
have
have
an
a
egress
closed
window
window.
for safety
Yes.
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's if you walk into a lot of the new places, they'll have like a front den that people will want to use as a bedroom. Sometimes they have a closet, sometimes they don't. But it's the window that's important, and I believe the size does have a lot to do with it. Again, I haven't looked at the fire regulations or building code, but I believe it has to be at least a 10 by 10. In that, it doesn't have to be 10 by 10 exactly, but it has to be around a 10 by 10 measurement to be called a bedroom, to be able to put beds and
So
furniture.
in answer to your question,
Does it
Francis,
affect the
that
resale?
probably falls in the same category as, will somebody with a screened-in porch, is that?
Same thing.
Yeah.
If somebody
Right
wants
buyer,
a
it's the
screened-in
right
porch, absolutely. If somebody wants a glorious primary ensuite, that would be great. For somebody who is looking for a 3-bedroom home, they're probably not gonna look at that home anyway.
Exactly.
It'll add value for
So
the
I
right
think it's probably
person,
more
right
important to
Yeah.
do what you wanna do to the home, but knowing that
It could affect.
if you take some bedroom space and you're taking from a room that's not gigantic, well, there'll be some people that like it when
Yeah.
when you go to sell, and some people that won't. But that's with every home.
Yeah.
Every home.
And you did that renovation to make the bedroom bigger because you wanted to. You did it for yourself, which is nothing wrong with that at all. Just would somebody want to turn it back later? Potentially, or as Barbara said, it might be off their radar now. If they're looking for something with 2 or 3 big bedrooms, this home just wouldn't qualify anymore.
I have a question. Not to get it's on track, not to get too off topic. But while we mentioned what makes a bedroom a legal bedroom. And I know we're not lawyers, guys, we're not police officers, don't hold us to this. We don't know for sure. But what is the consensus if you have, because I've been asked this question a lot, someone in the basement, or you can't rent it out unless it's a legal bedroom. But what about a family member in a den space?
Yeah. So people use basement space for extra
Because I've heard
bedrooms.
people getting caught
And
too.
it's to have a bedroom downstairs, you can't legally sell it if the window's not egress. And the last time we looked at egress, I know there's difference of opinion on this as well, but
Mhm.
fire regulation, somebody has to be able to climb out the window if there was ever a fire. So I believe it's still around approximately 4 feet in diameter for the window, but you also have to have, if it's a higher up window, you have to have access for somebody to climb up a ladder, have access to and if there's a window well, it has to be big enough that somebody can climb up the window.
Even if you have
So-
someone guest staying
Yeah,
there.
so that
If
probably
neighbors
more
wanted
common.
to get finicky and noticed, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I know the people out there in the listening world have seen or heard their agent talk about this is a 3+1 bedroom.
Mhm.
So if it's a +1 bedroom, that means it should be, if it's considered a +1, it should be a legal bedroom downstairs.
Yeah.
But there's lots of times where there's a room downstairs you may be using as what they call a craft room or a guest bedroom. It's not necessarily a legal bedroom, so you can't call it a bedroom, but people use them as bedrooms all the time.
Could you,
Teenagers.
I was gonna say, could you in theory, my question is, if a neighbor called and someone knocked on the door, but that is a family member, who is taking on that risk knowingly and living in that space, not paying rent, could they get in trouble?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it would depend on fire regulation at that point, because I know for insurance purposes, that still applies.
Okay.
You have to be able to gain access to the outside from whatever bedroom that is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's up to the discretion of fire regulation, if it would be the fire marshal that would determine that. If you were using it for one of your teenage kids or one of your kids, or using it as a guest bedroom. But
Give
for
them a
resale,
fire
we're talking about resale purposes.
Yes.
To call it a bedroom or a +1, it has to be within the fire regulations.
And that's why it's important to understand too, because for any investor clients who are looking to make improvements to possibly rent out or something, they need to understand that there are regulations and hoops they might have to jump through to ensure that it is a legal
Of
investment property.
Of course.
Now, what about swimming pools?
I love this topic.
If somebody buys a house, their dream house, and then they add a swimming pool, is that an improvement?
Can I answer?
Shocker.
I feel
Hannah
passionately
first.
about this one. I feel passionately.
She was looking at me.
I'm so rude. I'm so sorry. I've been waiting for the swimming pool topic.
It's all in the eye of the beholder. If you want a pool,
Exactly.
then it is. But is it will it add value to the house?
Maybe. Maybe not.
That's probably
What
it.
kind of-
That's what I want to say. I'm like, it'll add
what
for
kind of price
me.
are you gonna add on? If every other house on the block doesn't have a pool and they sold for 800,
Right.
does that mean yours gets to go, will be listed for $899 to
Well,
have a pool? I don't
so-
know, you know.
Well, I've had, over the years, I've had probably a quarter of my clients say, if you show me the perfect house and it has a pool, I'm not interested. I've been there. I've done that. Raised my kids with a pool. We don't have kids at home now. I don't want the expense. I don't want the work. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want anything to do with a pool.
Just make Jerry do
And
it.
likewise,
That's
we
why I
also
don't
That's
have
what Jerry's for, Barb. Come
we've
on.
also had clients say, I just as soon buy a home with a pool because I'd like to have
Yeah.
a pool put in. And I figure it's probably going to be less money to
one.
buy the house with the pool.
Mhm.
And they are correct about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last time, when was it? Last summer we were looking, and I think the average cost of pool was pushing $100,000 to add to a
That-
home.
Oh, plus. That's a
I
starting
think it was
point.
104.
That's for an in-ground.
Depends on the rest
Yes,
of the
that's correct.
landscape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's
that
right,
is.
in-ground.
You're right, guys. We are talking in-ground pool. An above-ground pool, if you're on the fence about it, an above-ground pool can be a
Take it
great
down.
thing because it could be temporary. Once you don't need it, it can be drained and taken away with very little backwards effect on your lot. But a pool, you can't just, if you don't want it, you can't just break up the cement and fill it in with dirt. It has to be actually decommissioned.
Yeah.
Pull the lines up. You can't just fill them in anymore like you couldn't set up.
The reason why I got excited about this topic though is because I love swimming. I've always wanted a pool. I grew up with a pool. I'd love to have my kids have a pool. And when I'm looking, if a house has a pool, it would add value to me because of that. Because to
Right.
put it in yourself it can be insane. And if it's well maintained, that's a huge value to the right buyer. Someone like me who loves pools
Sure.
and has a fiance that can maintenance it for me.
And yeah, you
But-
look for a house with a pool instead of putting.
However, then there's those people who would want nothing to do with the pool. It is a lot of work. I've seen it firsthand. It's a lot to take on, and a lot of the time it could cost money to just fill it in. So it's actually an expense for them having the pool. So to have it compared, the same house, one sold a little with a pool, the other one didn't. It's doesn't to me add significant value. It's just a luck of the draw of who your buyer is.
Yeah, you're right. As Barbara said, if you have a buyer, we have buyers looking for properties.
What
with
buyers
a
are
pool.
out there at the
They
time.
want to look at houses with pools. So I mean, they're very, very rarely where they buy and then put pools in. But people do that all the time. I guess that's up to the buyer. Is that the perfect home for them? And it just didn't have a pool, so they will take on the cost of pooling.
Mhm.
That's only something they can answer.
And my next place, I'm not getting one unless it has a pool. Okay, so are we wrapping up or are we going to a break? I have no chance of time. So we're gonna go to a break. Hi everyone, surprise! It's Hannah Beauchamp here again. I just wanted to let you guys all know that if you are interested in possibly purchasing your first home, if you have anyone you know that might want to get some information for when that time comes, the Dwyer team and I will be hosting a first-time home buyer workshop on March 26th. 2024 at 7 p.m. It will be at our office at Keller Williams Lifestyles Realty, 509 Commissioners Road West, Unit B 100. If you are interested, this is a free event. We would love to see you there. It is a great introduction into what you can expect when it comes time to buying a home. And you can send me a DM, text, email. My number is 519-476-8664. Again, 519-476-8664. Thanks and have a great week.
Okay, so we're back.
Oh yeah.
We're back.
We spoke about the difference between maintenance items and improvement items. And so this would be a great time to lead into getting your house prepared for the spring market as a seller.
Yeah.
Maintenance items that should be dealt with before your house goes to market. The transition from for sale to sold a little easier. So let's start with the outside of the home. What should be done?
I would have to say, I mean, I may be argued on that, but I would have to say that that's people's first impression. The curb appeal when they first roll up has to be exciting. It has to be a wow for them, because if it doesn't have if it doesn't have that when they roll up, I feel like they, even if it's gorgeous inside, they still have a negative opinion when they first roll up. So it's important to keep, even, I mean, in that early spring, like February, March, it's tough to have your grass really nice because it's been matted down with snow, and then you're shoveling the driveway and it gets matted down with salt and sand and stuff. But I would say the curb appeal is probably the most important thing. So don't leave, for example, today over at my place, it was garbage day. Don't leave your garbage cans and blue box stuff out as longer than necessary. Like, make sure that's dealt with. Make sure it's brought in. Make sure it's neat. Make sure it's put away.
And if you normally store it on your porch, don't store it on your porch.
Yes, good one.
House is for sale.
Yeah, put it on the side of the house, or if you have a garage, put it in a garage. Yeah, don't leave it out as people walk up and they see those things.
It's a little early to start raking, according to a landscaper. So,
it's still pretty marshy out,
make
right?
sure that your lawn is there. Any garbage is picked up, particularly if you're a pet owner. You don't want people.
Another good one. Yeah,
around
that's
in the
another good
yard,
one.
stepping on little landmines.
Yeah, you're right. Most people they don't focus that much on the winter because it's covered in snow, so
Right.
they don't think about it. But you're right. As the snow melts, that is the first thing people notice.
See a lot of in the winter photos too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and was showing a house just recently. And, but one of the things when we pushed open the gate to the backyard, there was tons of leaves because from the fall raking, they
Did you
they
feel
got
they raked
tired,
them
I guess, by the time they got to the gate and didn't get the bags done, and
Right,
so it
right.
was there. And, that was actually quite a turn off because that just says what else is going on inside the
Right.
house.
You're right. Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
weird, and
So-
I'm sure there's nothing going inside.
So everything
It's just,
needs to be cleaned off
Yeah.
that yard,
You're right. That brings you back to the first impression. That seems to be everything for people. If they find little things, or you don't want them to jump to any conclusions in their own mind.
Yeah.
And when it comes to selling your house, what we always say, the three things that are going to sell your house: price, location, condition. If there's things that you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. I mean, you make sure that is reflected in price in your marketing, right? So, but if you want to get the best bang for your buck and you want to do these little things, these are the things that we're going to talk about. And I think the biggest thing is when you go inside, smell.
Oh, it's a whole other. So anyway, so we did talk about outside. So outside first impression, guys, is everything. So make sure that if you wonder, should I move that item? Is it in the way? That means yes.
Yeah.
That means move it. Get it out of the way. Make it as neat as possible.
Maybe I should have done. Maybe
Okay, sorry. So back inside. Let's start inside then.
Out the backyard too.
The front door, I think, is really important. If it's kind of really badly weather beaten and half that screen, your screen door that's ripped on your screen, those little things drive me insane.
Yes.
It doesn't take
That's
that
a good
much to
point.
put in that screen and fix it instead of letting where the dog ripped it, So
Or
if
kids.
it's your
Fresh
first
coat of paint on the front door.
opening the door is the most important thing walking into the front. The other thing is if you got something to hide, please don't use 5 million candles or the Febreze things because somebody's going to know as soon as they walk in, those little things in.
Yeah, the excessive, and they can be pretty pungent. So
like, what does this
Yeah,
smell?
it can be very strong.
There's some really great options out there too now that are so much more natural and light and fresh. People are using light, just little. I get wanting to make your house smell good. I get that. I'm saying that if you're going to do it, very minuscule goes a long way, and it needs to be fresh, and it can't have any sense of perfumey or that you're covering something or some bad mix with some weird smell. I'm all for a little touch, but it has to be that little touch.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Glade plugins are the Febreze things. Those are
Excessive.
We see them used a lot, especially in some older homes, or people feel like their basement might be a little bit musty. But the best way to combat that is have a dehumidifier instead of a Febreze. Don't.
Nothing that smells better when you walk into a home as the smell of clean.
Yeah.
And not perfumey. And a lot of maintenance items can be done. They're not expensive. Like wash your windows.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's a housekeeping issue. Sure.
Wash your windows.
Yeah.
And you guys know,
That's a big one.
we recently got a small purifier because we don't have an HVAC system.
Mhm.
And night and day really, the quality of the air, even like the smell, everything, the dust, the allergy, like we have pets.
Mhm.
Like
And lots of people do.
it's
so.
stuff like that. And I'm pointing that pointer out there too for anyone who feels like they want a little addition. It wasn't that expensive, and it went a long way. It was crazy.
Like you're right. That is a big deal, and I feel that the smell can turn people off as soon as they walk in the front foyer, even if the house might be right for them. But if it's too overpowering, then people that's all they focus on.
Mhm.
And what smell are we covering up here?
And I think we have all, I don't know if I can speak for everyone, but I think we have all walked into a house where our clients have said, "Well, let's go."
Yeah, Hannah, you're right.
You don't even end up seeing the house because
They don't. Yeah, they don't look to the extent that they should because they're focusing on smell.
exactly, and that shouldn't be a factor because that is going to change as things happen. But if you want the best reaction to your listing, it's about thinking about those things. And we usually have things like agent opens and all of that to have other agents in at the beginning to make sure. Sometimes you're no flying. Sometimes you don't notice. Sometimes you have pets and you can't even
That's a good
realize.
point. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's not your fault. There's no judgment on any of it.
And
No.
a fresh pair of eyes on a home. So if you're unsure what you should do, maybe invite a neighbor to come in or a friend or a relative and say, walk through my house and give me some advice. And then you can double check with your realtor.
Stuff that's uncontrolled. I know we went to a listing that had a house in the basement. Wasn't the owner's fault. It was a country property. It just happened, but it would have been there for a long time. Nobody noticed.
Oh, yeah, they weren't using that
fixed right away.
Yep.
Right. It's not something that should affect.
And getting your house
Getting
ready
the right
for
home.
market doesn't necessarily mean spending a lot of money.
No.
Some people have to, some people want to, but you don't have to. If your windows are clean and your walls are freshly painted and if you don't want to do that, at least make sure they're clean and there's no marks on the walls and
Yeah, walls, windows, doors. It's now we're seeing a lot of glass cupboards in kitchens and stuff. All those things, when there's glass, make it as clean and shiny as you can because it really showcases how great it really is when it's clean.
Yeah.
And one story, I always have a story.
I love your stories.
I suggest making sure all the light bulbs work because
Oh, good one.
when you
that's a
go
good
down
one,
in the
yeah.
basement and you open one door, this is one of my first clients, young first time home buyer, and so we open the door and where's the light? Where's the light? Where's the light? Oh, here's one, but only
Where's the light?
half. Here's the switch.
And it's the furnace switch.
only half on because it connected to a standing light over in the corner, but it didn't do this.
Oh.
And it was very dark. And then we go, what's all this? What's all this? Well, they were all terrariums of snakes. So we closed the door and took off, and that was it. It's really scary. So yet the house was in the area where she wanted it. It had the right everything, except that just turned her off. I'm not interested because who knows what's hiding underneath the carpet or something.
And I have found myself in basements, thank heavens, having a phone. I was able to use my cell phone to find the flashlight on my cell phone so I could find light switches because in some homes, they're not where you expect them to be.
Yeah.
So when you flick it and nothing works, wow.
That's a good one. But light bulbs and light switches, if you have a switch because in the area I live in, it's very common to see a switch that goes to a receptacle that would turn a lamp on, but there might not always be a lamp plugged in there. So if there is a switch that isn't easy for people to figure out of what it does, then have it marked. Have that switch marked, like lamp light or whatever.
Just a maintenance suggestion. Make sure that your light switches in one room are all the same hue and you don't have cool and warm mixed together because it's just
point.
It can be distracting.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Exactly.
All the light bulbs are the same light bulb. They're the same color, the same hue. So one's not that bluish hue and one's like a sunlight hue because it can be.
And you don't have burnt out light bulbs. It's really important.
Oh, and all the flies are caught right up in there inside that,
The flush to the ceiling lights. And then you've got a lot of bugs in there. Yeah, that's another
Well,
one.
it's just like you have the lyrics
Yeah.
opinion, and it
There's a ladybug.
go with the aesthetic of your home. And I'm not sure if it's even relevant, but the way I think of it, I've always preferred tone lightings in a home. I think it's very welcome.
Well, the cool kind of sets a dental office.
It really does.
I mean,
It
I like
gives
the
you
cool.
that fluorescent.
I don't mind the colors, but it depends on the room it's in. Like we have
But
cool.
I like the.
We have brighter lights in our basement because our kids play down there, and they use it for friends and stuff. So it's a little bit brighter than our bedroom light. I don't want that a big bright.
It's warm though, right? It's
the
not a
kitchen.
cool. But I understand what you're the fluorescents are big and they're in right now because there's some really beautiful light fixtures that have them.
Yeah.
Like kind of intertwined within them. They're not bulbs, right? They're more of a strip within the light. So they're huge, but it's just a thought, it's about what you like. Everybody is different. When I think about things adding into my home, I like more of a warmer tone because I think it's welcoming. And these are all things you can think of. And when you're listing your home, you're just thinking of what you would like to see as a representation. If you're walking into a home to buy, how are you going to feel about it? So if you're happy with it, you do the work you want to put into it, and you have your agents to be in your corner.
So I think, so I think the long and the short of that is it's little things people notice first. First impression is everything, but fix the little things. So if you've got burnt out light bulbs or switches that don't go anywhere, or a broken red floor register where the heat comes out, like fix those little things. Loose cupboard doors, loose cupboard handles, closet doors. Fix all the little things first because people notice those.
They notice all the little ones.
Yeah, for sure they do.
Looking for the little thing.
Yeah, we are.
But I think one quick note before I end it. We end it was.
I like you changed the I to we.
Yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Good, Anna.
Before we wrap it. The biggest thing too is when you show that you put care into your home, that brings a lot of security for the buyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the best way to wrap it.
No, I think you're right. No, I can't.
These guys want me to shut up, but I wanted to say that.
You're right. That's a very good point. People appreciate those things. So that's good. Great.
Okay. Well, Jerry,
I think that
wrap it up.
I think that was a good topic. I think those are great ideas. So we'll pick this up next week. And as always, guys, any topics you'd love us to discuss, we'd love to hear from you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and give us some thoughts on things that you'd like us to discuss that you have questions about.
Yeah.
So until next time.
And if you're interested as well as being a guest on the show, don't hesitate to send me a DM and we can see what we can make happen. We would love to hear from you. Thanks and have a great one.
Hold on, Hannah. You're a little quick. Before we wrap up, I want everybody to know we did get our new website up.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Chris. It looks fantastic. So we want to have everybody check that out. Give us your feedback on that. And you can check out the podcast directly from the website now, which is and make it easier for you. It's a one-stop shop. Mm-hmm. So feel free to check that out. It's thedwyerteam.com.
Yeah. And if there is a benefit for you to look up listings, maps, meet the team.
Everything about real estate.
Everything about real estate. Yeah. So it's there for your benefit.
Terrific. So until next week, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Like you're screaming all your.
We're ready to go?
Are we ready? Do you do your clap or what?
Already did.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Realty Remarks podcast with the Dwyer team at Keller Williams Lifestyles Realty. This is our third episode. We really want to take a moment. Oh, crap.
How can we get to
fourth
leave?
episode? It is. I'll restart it.
It's the 7th.
Fourth episode.
Oh,
Glad we're all on the same page,
That's a
y'all.
good one.
This is our conversation.
It's the third, it's the seventh.
Our
Hold
producer
on.
doesn't even know which episode we're on.
It's the 4th episode.
Okay, let me try that again. This is our.
Oh, God.
Should I restart or keep going?
No, restart.
Just keep going.
Okay, we're gonna restart.
Francis started swearing, so we
It's
gotta.
the third or fourth episode, doesn't matter.